So this person here says, and I'm going to show you the rest of this comment. He says, "Oh yeah, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, Obama and Biden have wasted more of our taxpayer money on stupid shit than Bush and Trump ever did, and I would agree to disagree." Hang on. With you, because manufacturing under Republican booms more than it doesn't Democrat. And I'm not sure if you can explain this or not. I would love for somebody to finally explain, how is it that I spend more time unemployed and being undervalued money-wise under Democratic Party than I was under Republican Party? How is it that I make more money, better jobs, better everything under Republican Party than I ever did Democrat? If what you're saying is true, that can't be possible, yet it was. So while your own personal experience may vary, I'm a prime example of that. Economies typically do better under Democratic presidents. Now, you spoke specifically about manufacturing and how you were employed under Republicans rather than Democrats. So we'll look at the numbers, because there's good and bad for both. So you brought up manufacturing, and you brought up Bush, and you brought up Obama, and you brought up Biden, and you brought up Trump. Obviously, George W. Bush saw a decline in manufacturing jobs, 2.2, 2.5 to over 4.5 million over the course of his 8-year stretch. In Donald Trump's first term, he was actually on the rise with manufacturing in his first few years, with an addition of over 500,000 jobs. But then he ignored the pandemic, and we lost a couple of 100,000 of those jobs. As a matter of fact, in 2018, Donald Trump saw the most manufacturing growth in 30 years. 264,000 jobs added. As far as this term goes, so far, he is down. We're down 108 to 111,000 manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing employment also saw a decline under Obama, about 286 to 303,000 jobs lost. Now, just like Trump ended up with fewer manufacturing jobs created because of the pandemic, Obama had the recession at the beginning of his 2 terms in office. But if you look at his recovery from 2010 to 2017, we added about 800,000 jobs in the manufacturing sector. And if you want to look at Biden, you can see that he added about 700,000 jobs, 750,000 jobs. Now, a significant chunk of those was at the beginning of his term, when people who lost their job as a result of COVID were going back to work. He did get us back to pre-pandemic employment levels and then surpassed that by 3.5 million. But those are his numbers. We saw a hell of a boom during the Clinton-Gore administration, where we were adding jobs left and right. 22 million new jobs in total. Now let's talk about unemployment. During the Clinton administration, unemployment dropped from 6.9 to 7.3% in early 93 to a low of 4.0 by November of 2000. That is a continuous decline in unemployment under Clinton. Enter George W. Bush, where he began at 4.2, spiked to 6.3. Eventually reached 7.3. Then looking at Obama, his numbers peaked early, because when he came into office, he was once again dealing with that recession at the tail end of the Bush administration. Peaked at 10%, got it back down to 4.7. Trump came in, had 4.7, got it down to 3.5, and then because of the COVID pandemic, spiked to 14.8. President Joe Biden came into office in January 2021 with an unemployment rate of 6.4. And then by the end of his term in January of 2025, he had decreased that to 4.0. The rate hit a 54-year low of 3.4 in 2023. And now that Trump is back in office, we're seeing a slight uptick in unemployment once again. So while your personal experiences may vary, like, for example, I made more money than I ever did last year. The first year of Trump's second term in office, I made more money than I ever did. But that's not because manufacturing is great, or landscaping is great, or housing is great, or anything like that. I made that money talking about what an asshole Donald Trump is on social media. So your personal experiences may vary, But the data shows that economies do better under Democratic presidents than they do under Republican presidents. That has been the case literally my entire life. So, anecdotal evidence doesn't mean shit when you're talking about the overall economy.